Welcome to the World of Warcraft Q&A about almost everything panel. Here to answer your questions are J. Allen Brack, Tom Chilton, Ian Hazakostas, Dave Kosak, Corey Stockton, and Greg Street.
Hello, Blizzcon. One person's name that you didn't hear that we were lucky enough to drag away from other stuff is our art director, Chris Robinson, who's here in the end. He's the main guy, the main architect behind the new character races, which I'm sure you're very excited about. So, welcome. Fire away.
Questions.
I'm a cherub from Khadgar, and my number is 18592. Look for me. Hi. My question is about garrisons. It looks like they're going to be tablet, kind of. Are you thinking about putting it into the WoW Armory app?
That'd be really, really cool. I can't say that we're actively working on it. It's going to be a very complex system to make it work awesome on the PC, and we feel like we have to really devote all of our attention to that to make it as good as it can be. A dream would be to have it on tablet, and I wouldn't rule it out as a possibility someday, but not yet.
Nice robe.
Hi. As an RPer from Earth and Ring, I'm super excited for player housing player housing on steroids in the form of garrisons.
That's right.
I was wondering, right now it said something about a party system, but I was wondering how many people can be in your garrison, and are there any plans for your friends to be able to access your garrison while you're offline?
Probably not while you're offline. We definitely allow, you'll be able to invite your friends to your garrison while you're there. We don't have any mechanic designed for it to happen while you're offline. I'm not really sure what they would do there while you're offline, other than maybe, I don't know,
Trash your
pick your
garrison.
flowers or something.
She's from an RP server, Tom.
Oh, that's true. Well, you can probably imagine. But no, we don't have any plans for that right now. It's an interesting idea. But certainly we do plan to have some cooperative gameplay. You were asking a question about parties, and I'm assuming you meant like the followers, where you would put together some of your followers and get together with some friends to do missions.
No, I was actually wondering how many of your real World of Warcraft friends, guildies, can be in your instanced area.
Oh, like invite a raid, all 40, whatever.
Dear server programmers, we're sorry.
Hi, I was just wondering about the dwarves. There hasn't been a lot of them lately, I guess, in the storyline, and I was wondering if there's anything happening with Magni.
I'm not ready to talk about anything happening with Magni yet. Maybe. We are really focusing on Moira, and I think there's a really interesting dynamic going on right now with Moira and the Dark Irons and the other Council of Three Hammers. We explored a little bit of that in patch 5.3, and Moira sort of stepping up to help the Alliance in a big way. And we're going to see a few Dark Irons. We're going to see a little bit of that happening in this next expansion as well, to kind of continue that story on. So we'll get a little bit of that, a little taste of dwarves. Delicious dwarves.
How you doing, Brunsgott, Badass Warrior? Got a question. In Myth, before you even released it, really, you said, Garrosh, last boss. Do you know what the last boss is in Warlords of Draenor? Or can you tell us, please?
Grommash Hellscream.
What? All right.
What, did you not want to know?
So we can kick both Hellscream's ass.
That's right.
Hell yeah.
You're welcome.
All right. Quick questions. One, there are certain zones like Silverpine and Twilight Highlands where you meet Garrosh and then talk to him. but Garrosh isn't the War Chief anymore, so will they be updated to War Chief Vol'jin? And is the Emerald Dream restricted to Azeroth, or is there an Emerald Dream on Draenor and Argus and other planets?
Two good questions. Emerald Dream is very much kind of an Azeroth sort of creation when the Titans created Azeroth. The other question, wait, what was the first question?
Will zones...
updating the old content. Yeah, it's actually pretty resource intensive. So I think we'll leave the old content as it is. You know, when you're playing the old world, you're really playing Azeroth as it was during the Cataclysm and experiencing those events that happened during the Cataclysm, and then the other expansions move the timeline forward.
I mean, the reality is we keep our existing content there, and it's sort of a timeline that you're playing through story-wise as you level up, and as you're going through, you know, Northrend, obviously, in reality, the Lich King has been vanquished, the Scourge largely defeated, but obviously there's still a present threat, and of course Garrosh is there leading the Horde forces, but it all makes sense. It comes together as you hit max level. We want to keep that intact for people to play through as it always was.
Hi there, I'm Hatsuma from Kel'Thuzad. My question's regarding Duskwood. There's an area called Beggar's Haunt. It's also called Knight's Hollow in the art book. There's a lot of art for it. Was it meant for anything like the Stalden quest line or the Scythe of Elune?
We don't really have any plans to use that area for that. Sometimes when we get on a roll, we create a lot of awesome art, and this guy is on top of it. Sometimes we don't get to use it as much as we should have, but that is a cool area, but we don't really have any other plans with it.
Hello, Root Faith of Galaran. I have a question about pet battles. Is there going to be any major changes made to the pet battle system?
There's a few things that we have in mind that we've been talking about, but in general, we really feel great about the base that we have. What we really see expanding upon with pet battles is the collection aspects. So adding more new pets in Draenor for you to collect and to find, having new trainers that you can battle against. There's a couple ideas for things in the garrisons that we could do too. We've got one building is called the Pet Stable there, and we're thinking about giving you the chance to maybe fight a unique trainer there. Maybe that might be a way that you could finally get epic pet battles from that building too. So there's a couple ideas on the table there that we can do with that.
What is the likelihood of you adding more character customizations, such as mixing hair, dances, facial paint things to them?
I think it's there's a likelihood. We're taking it in stages right now, so we wanted to see after we finish that kind of broad stroke, bringing everything up to the level that we want it to be at. We'll take a look at it and just feel like if there's enough breadth there that we want to add a little bit more to it. I mean, we're always pushing and wanting to do more. It's just a question of cost versus reward, and I think that's something we're going to definitely keep looking at in the future.
Hi, my question is, are we going to see Rathian in the next expansion?
I love Rathian. Do you guys love Rathian? Yeah. Pretty cool. I think he played a great role in Pandaria, and he helped kind of put the whole story together in Pandaria in a really neat way. He might take a little bit of a break. It doesn't feel right to have him do another legendary quest in the next expansion, so I would expect a cameo, but I wouldn't expect that kind of role again for Rathian.
So he's not the final boss of Warlords?
He's Grommash will ride him into battle.
Hi, I'm Starlene from Static, and I was wondering if there's any plans to make healing less smart heal focused and more target based, more like TBC healing was, especially with raids being 20-man now. Smart heals in their current form are going to be healing a higher percentage of the raid.
Yeah, and I think smart heals are one of those things that we agree have probably gotten out of hand to an extent. I think that as more and more heals have been converted over to be smart, it actually comes at the expense of some of the engaging and interesting healer gameplay at times. where you have a raid that's standing in a Healing Rain and an Efflorescence and a Holy Word Sanctuary, and then there are Ancestral Awakening and Atonement procs going on, and someone takes a really big spike of damage, and the good player is like, oh, that person took a big spike of damage. Let me go cast a Flash Heal or a Flash of Light or whatever. And when you're about halfway through your cast, in the meantime, that Healing Rain and Efflorescence and everything else has ticked, and your heal overheals. And you're like, well, okay, I guess I should have cast more smart heals. So I think we want to keep some place for those, and AoE targeted heals is always tricky. I mean, we have Prayer of Healing as kind of the only remaining party targeted heal in the game. One thing we're exploring is maybe actually making smart heals a little bit less smart while still keeping some of that functionality. So a way this might work would be to actually have most of our AoE smart heals simply prefer people who are injured over those who are not, like the way Chain Heal hops, rather than actively seeking out the most injured and lowest health target. This could make healing feel a lot more like it does on Malkorok, for example, where people with a full green shield are completely ignored by smart heals, but otherwise it doesn't discriminate between someone with a weak shield or a strong shield, and you actually find yourself having to still make those intelligent choices to single target top people off, while smart and AoE heals remain useful.
So that's a yes?
Yes.
That's an Ian yes.
Pretty much.
Ian, she's got your number.
One more
Nailed
quick
it.
thing. Greg, are you going to take away the 25% penalty to Chakra? It's not a bonus.
We've struggled a lot with that kind of design of, I'm going to go into this mode to do one thing and switch into this other mode to do this other thing. I don't know that there's many successful attempts in the game. We still like Chakra as a mechanic. We've been exploring some other things we could do with it. It's also possible we could just pull the whole thing.
Hello, I'm Bubble Heart from Laughing Skull, and my question goes on to 10-man rating. You guys have changed it to 20-man with Mystic rating, and that's not necessarily a problem. And you're saying, oh, there's going to be a problem with this, and we understand that. But is there any solutions that you can give me? Because besides recruiting or going on to merge another guild, what options do I have and what hope do I have? I mean, I have tons of people on my guild alone saying, oh, this is terrible, I might end up quitting. So either recruit or find a new guild. What solutions do I have?
Ultimately, we want to make it easier for people to find others to play the game with who are of a like mind. And things like Connected Realms are helping with that on lower population servers. And part of the point of giving advance notice of this change, I mean, the reality is it's not like you're going to go back from BlizzCon to Siege of Orgrimmar and have to completely change your guild structure overnight. It's something that can happen over time and with the new expansion and people returning to the game and the fact that you're still leveling up, gearing up, progressing through Heroic before you get into Mythic. The hope is that there is time for guilds to adapt and fit their rosters in terms of what they will look like then to the new 20-man Mythic structure. Ultimately, it's a change that's being made in the long-term interests of the health of that level of raiding overall. One of the things we realized as we had expanded Flexible to cover all the other raid difficulties was Mythic, the highest tier, was the only thing that was left over. And the question was, do we keep this parallel 10 and 25 structure just for the top % of the game's raiding population, or do we try to streamline it in a way that's really going to let us better focus our raid design and tuning and content going forward? And while I completely understand and I do sympathize with some of the short-term difficulties that guilds are going to face grappling with this transition, in the long run, we do think it's going to be a better experience for everybody.
Plus, the group finder will find you 10 new best friends.
I'm with Kel'Thuzad US Divinity. I talked to you yesterday, or the day before yesterday, Ian, at the dinner about the Hunter AoE abilities and how we only have targetable AoE abilities. What does Blizzard intend to do about this?
I'm not sure the context of the conversation.
Ultimately it's something for Greg maybe to speak to an extent. I mean, part of the context was specifically, I guess this is volley, and Hunter's missing volley, and the ability to just kind of lay down that blanket AoE kind of Blizzard flame strike style without needing a specific target. I think it's fair to the extent that we create and encounter situations where you want to be able to kind of pre-drop your AoE or pre-plan your AoE before there's a target there. And I mean, historically, that's the sort of thing we've maybe explored with glyphs to modify behavior of abilities, but it's not something that I can necessarily give a definitive answer to, unless maybe Greg wants to jump in.
Yeah, I think overall with the problem with, you're talking about the original volley, there are players who want to do the best damage they can, and obviously having a very simple rotation will help with that. There are players who get bored of just channeling an AE over and over again, which is kind of what volley was like, say, in the second Naxxramas. So we're trying to give everyone some type of AE rotation that's not just channel one thing over and over again. And with hunters, we wanted to incorporate things like whether it was multi-shot or beast cleave or glaive throw or the level 90 talons to try to do something besides just, channel a bar and have arrows fall from the sky, and when you finish, channel another bar.
I'm also from Divinity on US Kel'Thuzad. My main question is, with the addition of these tertiary stats added to gear, how do you plan to keep players from getting too much of the stats, like 20% movement speed increase, because that'll obviously have give guilds an advantage on a high-end level of rating?
The intent is that the tertiary stats are rare enough that you can't go out and farm, say, movement speed. We may not even put it on every slot. Maybe movement speed can only appear on boots and bracers, for example. And then if there's only a 10% chance you'll get that, you'll have to farm for a long time, probably beyond the point at which the progression is even an issue before you can complete that set.
Kind of similar to Warforged, right? It's very difficult to actually try to get a full set of Warforged. I don't think players generally have the expectation that they're going to get that.
And with the addition of these chance drops, are you removing heroic Warforged gear?
No.
I think the thought here is that these are multiple vectors along which items can be different and maybe special. That overall, the odds of you seeing an item that is better in some way, be it with a tertiary stat or a socket or Warforged, are probably going to be higher overall. And it's just going to be more variety and potentially more interesting combinations and ways to interact with your items.
Hi again. This is Verena of the Sentinels of Ravenhold. My question is about the legendary. I've worked on 2 legendaries now. I worked on Dragwrath, got that done. It felt like a huge accomplishment. This one just feels like a raid requirement. Is that something you're going to see again in the future, or?
I think that we definitely want to do a legendary quest line. I don't think that those are exclusive concepts. I think that something we want to get in 6.0 is both a legendary quest line for a type of item, kind of like the cape, while also being able to do the other types of legendaries that are a lot more exclusive to, killing a really hard boss. So in the same way that, right now we have the Garrosh heirloom weapons, those are a little bit more exclusive, almost like the old legendaries worked. They aren't really exactly the same, but more along those lines. And I really think that we can have a balance between both of them.
Hi, I'm Scott. I was wondering if for people that have multiple characters, if they'd be able to enlist their alts as followers for their main character's garrison.
It's not an idea that we've thought about, but it sounds cool. We know that we have to come up with some sort of solution to deal with the fact of the garrisons they're unique per character. They're not an account-wide thing. And so we've got to do something there to help you so that, if you want to make another garrison in your alt, we've got to have some sort of shortcut or a way to do that. We're not really at that point yet in the design to get there to be able to talk about it. But it sounds like a cool idea. Maybe we could pull in their name, their gear, something like that. Could be awesome.
How you doing? Joe Castle from Pittsburgh. Go Steelers. I had a lore question. I've always found the Titan story very fascinating. It's been pretty front and center, I think, in a lot of the previous expansions, Ulduar and Lich King, and then again in Pandaria. Can you say anything about that? Is that something we might see in the next expansion? Is that something that might maybe become its own expansion as far as developing that storyline a little bit more?
Yeah, the Titans are a really interesting concept, and they've sort of had their fingerprints are all over the universe. The Titans actually visited Draenor, so we might get a little hint of what happened there. They kind of helped shape Draenor, and then they pieced out of there pretty early on, so they didn't leave quite a big a mark. So we might see a little bit of that. I don't think this next expansion will have a whole lot of Titan story behind it. But we will always kind of revisit that because ultimately the Titans are kind of one of the opposites of the Burning Legion, and there's a really interesting symmetry there. So we'll definitely see more Titan stuff eventually in the future.
Hey guys, my question is more about, I love that you're cutting out the crap on all the items like hit expertise. How am I supposed to feel rewarded when I get a drop, but then I have to go back, get a heroic, warforged, gemmed, tertiary stat weapon?
Itemization is one of the best rewards we have in the game, and we really want it to be, you kill the dragon, you get the awesome sword out of the dragon's hoard. We're really not happy with the way the game has gone, where it's just a checklist and okay, I got my glove for this raid, okay, I got my belt for this raid, now let's go on to the next one. The plan with having all these rare affixes and things like that in the gear is to give it a long tail so that maybe you'll get a basic item pretty quickly and be able to function, but then you can still chase the awesome item rather than saying, you know what, I've got everything I need, peace out.
What we're trying to say is that Mr. Robot is not sitting up here on this stage, and he should not have to approve your items.
Hi, I want us to thank you for the green fire. Thank you. But my question is, as a raider in the heroic progression, are we going to be continually be punished for nerfs and buffs for any changes amongst, because everyone being troll, but we just use T-Morph to play another race, it seems kind of unnecessary.
I mean, so there's a couple of questions wrapped into that. I think as far as racial balance goes, I think in terms of the factions and the throughput in terms of pure damage potential from the racials, there's some balancing to be done there. I think beast slaying can stay beast slaying and not be 5%. I think that the various hit and expertise racials that a lot of alliance races have, well, those aren't going to do anything anymore because hit and expertise don't exist. So we'll have to come up with some other passives to replace those, and hopefully, in general, narrow the gap. I mean, our idea is that you should play the race that you want to play for sort of the fiction and the fantasy, or maybe some of the utility. And I think we're generally happier with racials like Goblin Rocket Jump or Worgen Darkflight that offer an active capability versus those where you say, well, okay, this sim's 2.3% better, so I need to be this race.
Hi, I'm Nate from Crimson Illuminati and No More Gone Forever and Warmarist Accord. Love the stuff I've seen with Warlords and really looking forward to it. One thing I like is the exploration of the Draenei story and the lore, which leads me to my question, when can we expect the same treatment for gnomes?
Well, it's hard. We can't win. For years, you guys have been saying, where's the Draenei stuff? Where's the Draenei stuff? Where's the Draenei? Finally, we have some Draenei stuff. And immediately, out come the gnomes.
Besides, what about Chromie? We gave you Chromie.
Yeah, so they took Nomergon in Cataclysm. Hopefully, we can maybe find some opportunity to explore some more gnome stuff a little bit later. But I really can't promise that right away. But now we hear you. Maybe next.
Many of us are big fans of gnomes. It's just a question of getting the right time.
Blood gnomes confirmed.
Hi there. I'm Celeste from MMO Champion.
That's not a server.
No. Seeing as Darlene stole my question about removing the plus heal from Chakra, please, how many healers are you expecting to be running in the new 20-man format?
18.
And what sort of mana game are you looking to emulate from that?
I mean, I think healer composition is always going to vary a little bit, particularly at the very high end where guilds tend to min-max. My assumption would be that right now, where 6 healers is often considered a baseline for a 25-player raid, you'll probably see 5 healers as a baseline, and you'll see 4, maybe 3 in some extreme cutting-edge, heroic, mythic progression kills where you need to drop healers to squeeze out as much DPS as possible. But ultimately, one of the advantages of having a fixed raid size is that we can think about and target and implement mechanics that we often may have had to discard because they wouldn't have scaled down and been adaptable to 10. Splitting your raid up into more groups than 2, for example, or anything that really depends heavily on a single class mechanic like Spell Steal or Enslave Demon or Blink or what have you. Anything that requires a specific class ability, we can't do because we can't assume that you have that class present in a 10-player raid. But in a 20-player Mythic mode that's really crafted for that specific size, there are a lot more possibilities.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gong Yu from Warcraft Accord. I like the idea of the events being allowed in Draenor to make it feel more alive. So what I'm wondering is that idea going to be looked into for older content, not necessarily rehashing anything like Cataclysm, but to make those older places feel more alive so that anyone leveling again or any new players could go around and say, hey, look, there is a barn on fire or something, and take a look, see if they can help.
We definitely love dynamic content, and it would be awesome to be able to incorporate that in the old world. But we also have to kind of juggle our resources, and we really want to concentrate going forward on the new stuff we're creating. So not in the immediate future. We're not really planning to do that. We definitely plan to really keep experimenting with it in Draenor, though, and really try and find the right balance that makes the world feel alive all around you. And I think that's going to be really compelling.
Any hour we spend on the old stuff is an hour longer it takes us to get to you the new stuff.
I'm a Archlight of Mugfell. I'm sorry, a Hydral. I just have a novelty question. I play a mage. Is it possible we can change the color of our evocation? Right now you can do it with different buffs, but maybe if we can include a glyph or something?
I couldn't hear the question. I'm very sorry.
The evocation is usually blue, but you can change it with different buffs or novelty buffs. Can you possibly see about changing it with a glyph? More customizable, more unique?
I think no specific plans along those lines, but it's the kind of thing that we've done in other cases in glyphs, and certainly a cool idea for us to explore as we add new glyphs to customize, custom spells cosmetically like that in the future.
Hi, are bonus rolls continuing in 6.0?
Yes.
Yes, that is the plan. We don't know exactly what you're going to do to get the bonus rolls. We're still trying to figure that out. But we generally like the idea that you have some control over saying, oh, I want an extra shot at loot on this boss.
As a follow-up, how does the bonus roll actually work now? Like if I roll 3 times in SOO and I don't get loot, there's supposed to be protection. But if I roll in TOT and get a bonus, does it reset it in SOO?
We have a guy in an office, and every time you try to bonus roll, he has a button and he pushes yes or no. And he just pushes no pretty much all the time. He has like a drinking bird set up.
Best job ever.
Sometimes he goes to take a break. It's all about timing. No, honestly, yeah, I mean, we have a streak-breaking system in place. In general, we don't want to delve too much into the details of it because the reality is it's supposed to kind of work behind the scenes. The second you know all the details, you'll again think about gaming it. But don't worry about wasting your chance on different difficulties or different zones like that. If you win something in LFR, it's not hurting your chance at your heroic bonus roll. At the end of the day, we just wanted to make sure that if you see somebody who posts, like, I used 15 bonus rolls in a row on this thing and I didn't win a single item, they're actually officially lying. I know you still see those posts on the forum. They're lying, trust me.
Exaggerating.
Lying.
Hi, I was just wondering if pet battles are ever going to be going on to mobile devices?
That's actually something that we've talked about a bunch. It's something we've actually put some effort into. The question is, what we were looking into doing was trying to figure out a way to let PvP pet battles work on a mobile device. But what we found is that we really wanted the collection aspect of the game to work on mobile too, to have a way to be able to collect more pets, to play in the actual kind of PvE side of it. And I think that's the part where we kind of got hung up and felt like we have some ideas, but we haven't had time to really execute on those ideas and figure out the best way that we could do that on mobile. But it's certainly a desire, something that we would love to do.
Half-Life 3 confirmed.
Have you ever thought about adding servers for previous expansions as they were then?
No. And by the way, you don't want to do that either. You think you do, but you don't. Remember when you had to like spam cities and say, need a tank, need a tank, need a tank during the Burning Crusade days? You don't remember that because now you just push a button that says go to the dungeon. You don't want to do that. Remember that one bug that really pissed you off that we fixed like 2 years ago? Still there in the past.
Hi, I'm Tamerlane from Elias Anathism. I have a lore question. What's with celestial dragons? They're not celestials, they're not dragons. They show up in Throne, Aldior, and Mogashan vaults, and like, what's going on there?
That is an excellent question. What are celestial dragons? I think the Titans were involved, and they were doing something.
We need to get you a red shirt.
I don't think we have any like official lore, official story about the celestial dragons. They're tools that the Titans were using, and honestly, primarily, they just look really bitchin'. Is kind of the main reason they're there.
Good job, Chris.
Thank you.
We have some celestial BSers up here.
Alice from Icecount, Guild Peons No More. My question is, with reforging gone, what will replace the vendor on the Yak?
You know that question came up almost immediately after that presentation.
We just talked about this.
Yeah. One idea was transmog.
Wait, stop. Hold on. So, were you guys designing at BlizzCon? Please don't do that.
We were pretty sober.
You say that now.
For a short period.
It was over lunch, like 2 hours ago, really.
What do you want on the Yak?
You know what you sound like?
Bank access.
No way, dude.
I think they said a flask vendor.
Vanilla servers on the Yak? Was that what it?
That's what I heard. Confirmed.
Hey guys, the Disaster for Skull Crusher. My question was about the Horde and Lion crests. The Lion's crest is a lion, but there are no lions in the Eastern Kingdoms whatsoever. So where did they come up with that?
Well, Uther Pendragon's crest had dragons, and there were none of those in England, were there?
Burn.
Now Tom needs the red shirt.
Yeah, sorry. The other thing was about the Horde crest. Is it a Naru?
I have no idea.
We'd have to ask Chris.
We need like a bucket of red shirts just to sit right there. You can hand them out to everybody who's
I would
coming.
love a red shirt or a character, and wow, either would make me happy.
Hey guys, this is Houndstooth from Acris. And I was wondering, with tertiary and secondary stats, are we going to see a morph of that when we spec change? Or am I going to have to collect multiple pieces of gear that have avoidance or cleave if I like to play multiple roles?
The idea is just that the primary stat changes, strength, agility, intellect, and that the secondary and tertiary stats would all stay the same. That's part of the long tail there, that if you really like haste, you can still go and chase haste gear, but you could still function if you can't get that kind of gear.
I do think it's very important that we realize that we're still going to be experimenting with this stuff and testing it out, right? It's got a long way to go before we really finalize what all these tertiary stats are and exactly how they'll work and what percent of chance there are to have these things. So there are a lot of the details will probably morph some before it actually goes live, but I think it's really legit concern.
Hey, I was wondering, with Warlords of Draenor kind of bringing up the past again, would you ever maybe possibly consider the old Warcraft games being available to play again on a modern computer, please?
So we actually have a guy on our team, actually several guys on our team, who are actually working on a side project to do something like that in some form or fashion. You know, we're fans of Warcraft 1, Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, and we'd love to replay those games for sure. Thanks.
So I was wondering about the garrisons. Are they going to be in predetermined locations throughout the zones? And in one of the slides, I noticed the dance studio.
What do you mean?
What? I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I saw it in the medium buildings there.
I don't think that's accurate.
Is that an announced feature? I don't know. It's weird.
Surely we would never troll our player base like that.
We would never do that.
It's ridiculous to even suggest such a thing.
Who would do that? But in regards to your first question, yes, the garrisons are in a predetermined location in the zone. And it'll be like that for all the different zones that has a garrison. So you can choose to, if you have it like in Shadow Moon Valley, you would be in that spot. If you choose to like maybe have it in Gorgrond, there's a predetermined spot there. And then within the garrison, you can customize it by placing the buildings wherever you want within that kind of predetermined area. But by having it be in a predetermined area like that, we can make it look super awesome. Like we've got them built right into the zones with waterfalls and lakes, and all the unique features of the zones themselves will be built into that garrison. So each one has a really unique kind of like vibe and feel to it.
I think if we allowed complete freedom, most players would just like, I'm going to put it right in front of the entrance to Blackrock Foundry. Bleh.
Hi, Malazar of the Shadow Wolves of Smolderthorn. I had a gameplay mechanic question. So when the Dark Portal turns red, how do you get as a max level character in Draenor to Old Outworld or Outland if you want to do old lore or get old achievements?
You're trapped there forever. If you're in Outland, if you're max level and you're in Outland, you want to get to Outland, we're still talking about that. We've actually talked about one way to do that actually might be through the Caverns of Time. We may also just make it so that we're also talking about how to handle it for non-max level characters that are still, in their level 60s or whatever. What do they do when they want to get there? The reason we say that is because if you think about the current timeline, it's kind of broken. You go through the Cataclysm timelines from 1 to 60, and then you kind of go back in time to the Outland timeline through Northrend, and then you go forward in time to Cataclysm again. You kind of jump around. So if you think about it, you could actually argue that Outland is currently back in time. So that would be one way to approach it, but we're still trying to resolve how to do that. But we will give you a way to go there.
Hi guys, Boosh Baguette from Full Spectrum Guild. I just want to thank you for your decades of awesome work. I really appreciate it. So I'm in a 10-man guild that does heroic content on 2 nights a week, and I'm in for some big changes. So my concern is when we go to Mystic with 20, and ideally we're going to have 25 in a guild, and 20 get to raid, 5 people are going to get subbed, but if your lockout is on loot base, you're going to run it twice, so those 5 you subbed get a chance for loot. And then with the new heroic, you're going to want to do that for tier, for trinkets, things like that. I'm concerned that we're going to have to do 48 bosses every single week to be really competitive.
Okay, so that's something that I should probably clarify from what was said in the last panel. The Mythic raid lockouts is pretty much going to work just like Heroic does today. There's nothing changing with that. It's very traditional in that regard. That is boss-based, static raid ID. You can't hop one mythic raid to another. Really, nothing is changing there. So you definitely will not be running sort of parallel main alt raids through mythic content. And as far as other difficulties, I think the thought is that it'll work pretty much like it does today, where coming out of a prior tier, you'll probably go into whatever you were doing and one tier below. That is to say, heroic guilds coming out of Throne of Thunder with full Throne of Thunder heroic gear did normal Siege of Orgrimmar and then went to heroic Siege of Orgrimmar. They didn't really have much, if anything, to get out of Flex Siege of Orgrimmar, and we didn't really see them doing it all that much. We certainly are sensitive to players' desire to not find themselves running the same things over and over again multiple times per week, unless they're doing it just to help out their friends. I think it's very different when it feels like part of your necessary progression, like way back in the Argent tournament days. So that's something we're sensitive to, and we will try to minimize wherever possible.
Hi, I'm Mooney from Alloon and the Sentinels RP server. In Dawn of the Aspects, we saw a great variety of proto-drakes and an immense variety of the different abilities that they had. I was wondering if we could get a bit of a definitive answer of the different dragonflights in their current form and their breadth of abilities.
I really don't have time to go into detail on that on the panel, but it is something we talked about. Honestly, there's so many different sort of forms of dragons because that makes for great gameplay for us. It's nice to have a variety of draconic types of creatures to fight. Some of the details we haven't really ironed out as to whether they evolve into these other forms or how exactly it works. So that's a really good question. And I believe we have a printed book coming out that'll go into a little more detail about that, but I'm not positive about that. It's part of our sort of atlas kind of thing. So yeah, I don't really have an answer for that right here, but it's something we've been talking about.
Hi, my name is Tim Marble. I came out here from Maine, and my question is for Mr. Greg Street. On behalf of the entire Hunter community, I was going to ask, where the hell is Eyes of the Beast? That was the coolest ability in the game, and it disappeared in Cataclysm. Who doesn't want to control their pet and make them run around?
So, I would like to apologize for what happened to Eyes of the Beast. We had very good intentions of trying to prune abilities from classes, but made a mistake in that some of the things we proved weren't really the abilities that were confusing players. They don't take action bar space. You're not throwing down Eyes of the Beast as part of your single target rotation unless you're a really kind of weird hunter. So we took it out, and then there was a bug, and the programmers came to us and said, what are the chances you're going to keep this ability? And we're like, I don't know, we don't think so. And they clipped off that part of the code. So it's not like we can just stick the ability back in and it's back again. It would be a non-trivial amount of work for our engineers to add that back in, which would come at the expense of some other cool ability we'd like to add. If there's a way we can figure out to do it, we know there's a lot of requests from the Hunter community to have it back, so it's on our radar. I just don't have a great solution yet. Great question.
Hi. Earlier today, it was mentioned that in Warlords of Draenor, features like normal and heroic mode rating will be available cross-realm. That being said, why would you want to pay to realm transfer anymore?
So we want to make it easier for you to play with your friends. You know, we still believe in realm locality. We still believe in people having a kind of a home that is kind of called their own. But we still want to lower the barrier so that you can actually play with your friends. If you don't want a realm transfer, then that's okay.
There's still a lot of attraction to being in the same guild as your friends and sharing guild chat. So that's one of the cool things about being on the same realm is just being in the same guild.
What's up? So the Horde took a pretty big hit lore-wise. I was wondering, are you gonna even them out? I mean, the Alliance is kind of crazy, super strong. So what can the Horde do to get back to that level? You know, maybe absorb some of the Iron Horde after we're done with them?
They could faction change to Alliance.
That sounds like a good thing to be on the back of the yak now. Good faction change to a lion.
Way to rile them up. So the Horde is really going to be able to go back and really redefine itself and really look at itself and what it values. And I think the Horde is going to come away from this little adventure a lot stronger and a lot more with a stronger core than ever before. And I think we're going to see that happen over the course of Draenor.
Hi, I'm Palthos from Mal'Ganis. Right now, there are 7 times as many guilds that have killed Garrosh on Tin Man as opposed to 25. Behind every one of those guilds is a unique culture, leadership, and style. By going to a 20-man raid, you're completely changing that. And what are you going to do to provide content for people that want to raid hardcore as a 10-man, as a small group?
I mean, this is something that we've addressed. The reality is that moving forward, we have to make the decision. Do we want to support multiple different difficulties separately, only at this highest level, or do we want to streamline the system going forward? And our answer is that we have settled on 20-player content. And I completely understand that it is a difficult challenge and it's going to be a difficult adjustment to make, and that many people may be unable to make that adjustment, and that is unfortunate. But there is awesome content waiting for you at the end of the tunnel, and we ask that you bear with us and come with us on that trip, because we think it's going to be awesome when we get there. But I do apologize.
You could also get really slow computers and just play heroic.
Hi. My name is John. I play on Storm Reaver for the Alliance. I am an original WoW player. Been playing since 2005 from Firetree. The PvP aspect for World PvP has gone down. It feels like it has, at least. You have servers that are massively, highly populated in Alliance or in Horde, and there's no even. I understand you're doing the sandbox, but is there something for the world PvP aspect?
To be honest, I don't know that that's really we've never really had that since back in the South Shore Tyrant Mill days. And honestly, the reason we had that was because there were no battlegrounds, right? There was no other alternative. What we did is we put in the honor system, which gave you a motivation to kill other players, and there was nowhere else to do it. So world PvP happened. I don't really know that that's something that we can or will be able to recapture. Certainly not when the realms themselves are really heavily imbalanced. I don't think anybody wants to be forcibly moved off of their realm or anything like that. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to try to focus on the world PvP zone that we're creating and make it a really fun place to go when you just want to go and have some kind of random PvP action, the big PvP sandbox. I feel like that's something that we can make cool and deliver on, but I don't think that we can really get that fantasy of the South Shore Terran Mill kind of thing back.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Bayan from Wormrest Accord, and I'd like to ask if you guys were going to make any new hairstyles with the model changes.
Yeah, we actually have like a backlog of hairstyles that we haven't yet put in, so we already have them. I think it's just a matter of like finding the right way at this point to put them in. So, yeah, we have some of that stuff for you.
Well, I was a little concerned just because there wasn't a lot with the ones that you showed up on the panel yesterday, so I was wondering if there was any more than that.
Oh, like, is that all that we've done? Yeah. No, everything that you've seen so far is gonna be, like every single hairstyle is gonna be redone, so it's not just the stuff we showed. We just showed everything that we had done, but at this point, but we're gonna continue to work on it, so.
Thank you.
Somebody ask about quivers and stuff, please. An answer for you this.
Thundersong, proud orc shaman of Sisters of Elune. The garrison's kind of satisfied about the secondary production profession, having the NPCs and building the workshops. However, what are the limits of that? I find a blacksmith, I build a blacksmith shop. Can he make me epic weapons?
We're not actually sure yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What we're looking at right now, we're planning to let you be able to find recipes through the missions. So like you put a blacksmith to work at the shop, you could send him on specific blacksmithing missions to pull back recipes. I don't think we've actually finalized which recipes you're going to be able to get. I mean, we could let you build epic blacksmithing items if we wanted to. I think it's just a matter of trying to balance that out with someone who actually is a blacksmith and making sure that it still feels valuable to be a blacksmith even outside of your garrison.
Thank you.
Hey guys. So I've been really impressed by seeing how transmog is going to work in Diablo, where you get the item, you've unlocked its appearance across all of your characters, and you don't have to keep it in the bank anymore. Any chance we could get that into WoW?
Yeah, it's something we definitely like to do. There's quite a bit of time and effort that we have to put into it. We have a kind of an idea for a collection system and how that would work. I don't think it's something that we'll be able to finish by the time Warlords of Draenor comes out, but it is on our minds.
We almost showed it in the presentation, but we knew that would then turn into a promise that we were scared to break, but it's pretty awesome.
Nathaniel from Cenarian Circle. And my question is about instances, particularly heroics. So for Firelands and Wrath of the Lich King, when the endgame content came out, we had a lot of really cool heroics that came with it in addition to the ones we had before. In Pandaria, we didn't really see that. It's kind of a gap. In Warlords of Draenor, are you going to bring back that system? It's really weird to hear myself talk.
We would like to, yes. I think that we need to do that, though, while being mindful of managing some of the challenges that introducing new 5-player content mid-expansion can create. I think that when we brought back Zulaman and Zul'Gurub, for example, that was awesome. It was new content to do, but actually it removed a lot of the reason to do the Cataclysm launch dungeons. And so whereas before you had 9 unique and varied dungeons to run, now you were suddenly left with 2 that you ran over and over and over and over again. And ultimately, no matter how awesome the dungeon is, if we basically replaced a broad tier with having to chain run the same couple of dungeons over and over again, that's not going to be ideal. We have some ideas that we're discussing, maybe scaling up the difficulty of the launch dungeons to kind of match the new ones that we release while keeping them all relevant, but just expanding the pool of available dungeons. That could be one way to do it. But we do want to continue to advance our story and give people who really like 5-player content, which includes all of us up here, more stuff to do over the course of the expansion.
Thank you.
Sinblade from Halmarush and from Sargeras as well. I've been playing every game Blizzard has put out since Lost Vikings, and I absolutely love the Warcraft lore. And I was wondering, going back to all this history, if we're going to be seeing Alaria Windrunner and Turalian again.
They're not on Draenor at this time, so you're not going to see him here, but we definitely have plans for them. We definitely do. You will see them again.
Final boss confirmed.
On the yak.
Hi, my name is Lisa. I play on Alliance on Stormrage and Horde on Killjaden. I was wondering when you guys plan on removing the cap for Real ID and BattleNet?
You're saying you have hundreds of friends?
Yeah, I'm a big supporter of the pug community, and I'm always getting add-on Real ID to join their raids or help out their guild. And I always have to find someone who hasn't played in a month and delete them. And you guys have been really pushing us to make friends, so that would be really awesome. And as a suggestion, if the WoW Armory app had a way to contact those friends so we could have met up with them at Blizzcon.
That's a good suggestion.
Okay, we're out of time. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, fans.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, BlizzCon. We love you.
You're watching BlizzCon 2013, an original DirecTV production since 2008. Level up to DirecTV at directv.com.
BlizzCon 2013 continues live here on DirecTV's virtual ticket. We've got much more coming up for the Blizzard faithful around the world. A record number of you have tuned in this year for BlizzCon, making it our biggest BlizzCon ever. We thank you for your support, and we've got much more coming for you this afternoon, including the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series. We're going to show you the finals of that esports tournament coming up here in just a little bit of time. And of course, tonight, the closing concert with Blink-182 and Tom Chilton, who was on that panel talking World of Warcraft. He's going to be here around 5:45 p.m. Pacific, answering all your questions. And Kat and I have been collecting them on Twitter. We know you guys have a lot of questions.
You have a lot of
Tom.
questions.
Now, here with Kim and Kat. So, guys, lots of Blizzard stuff so far today. What else do we have to expect? I mean, it seems like now we're going to go into what we usually do on the last day, which is the WCS. And this is something that a lot of people have been watching with streams on the internet. Now we're going to bring that to you as part of the virtual ticket, Kim. And what's been going on? I've been hearing all the roars of the crowd behind me. There are people watching a lot of the matches on screens around the convention center. What's going on? Give us some context.
There's definitely a lot going on with the StarCraft World Championship Series, but before we jump right into that, which is the meat of it all, I want to give a quick update on the other esports tournaments that are taking place. The World of Warcraft one is still going on. Kat and I's 2-pick made it to the semifinals. It was Skill Capped versus Incredible Miracle, but Kat's team won and defeated Incredible Miracle, and so they're waiting in the finals right now for the other 2 teams to play. But we're also very excited about the Hearthstone Invitational Tournament. Both Kat and I were cheering for Artosis to win, and he did. He took the win over Caparian, so he played very smart, and now he is the Hearthstone BlizzCon champion.
Yeah, and he was not the favorite to win. But he came in and he brought good decks, and he played really smart, and he took his time, and congrats to him. Good job.
Yeah, now, are these guys, I'm sorry to interrupt, but are these guys winning money too?
I don't think so. I think it's just for the fame and the glory, because it is a closed beta, so not everyone could just participate if they wanted to. It was invitational only, so it was really about all of these guys who are already very popular and famous in the community for streaming. And Artosis even is a shoutcaster here for WCS, so we can get right into WCS now. Artosis, one of the main casters here, had to step away from his casting duties in order to play his Hearthstone tournament. But he will probably be covering, he'll be casting the Grand Finals with Apollo. And the Grand Finals for StarCraft is now going to be coming up next. We know our 2 players, SOS, who is a Protoss player, is now going to be going against J-Dog.
Now, Kim, you mentioned
You're
that
so
even
excited
though
about all these. You have so many favorites. J-Dog now. This is your boy?
Oh, well, I really J-Dong is one of my favorites. I didn't pick him in the beginning when we were doing highlights, but J-Dong is one of the 2 Zerg players that was in the tournament. He is from South Korea, but represents WCS America. He has not won a grand champion at any tournament all year. He's been taking 2nd place, at least at the last 4 or 5 major tournaments. So he has yet to get a 1st place prize. And he's an old-time Brood War player who is very famous. So everyone's just waiting to see him come back. They call him the Tyrant. So we'll see how well he made it this far. And SOS is the Protoss player. J-Dong actually just defeated Maru. Let me say that really quickly. In the semifinals, 2-1. And Maru,
there we go. There's some footage right there.
Also very, very good.
Winning, right?
Oh, and the crowd loves J-Dong so much, because he's just really, he interacts with the fans. He's from Team Evil Geniuses, and he is expected to do well. And I think he's going to do well because he defeated...
there's SOS winning there, right?
Yeah, SOS. SOS is a Protoss player. And everyone has said in this tournament that Deer is the player to beat. Like, Deer is considered the best player out there, and everyone was expecting Deer to win. He was playing flawlessly, and he's a Protoss player. And for J-Dong to take down Deer,
it was a big deal.
It was a really big deal. Like, that was the last match that took place yesterday, and that was the match that I got to see, and it was so close. And even J-Dong said that Deer, he could just tell by playing against him how good Deer was, and it made him want it even more. He had to win it just because he knew he was in the presence of such great skill. And so he did. He took the win, and now that he has defeated Deer, I think his confidence is going to be really high. He's up against another Protoss player.
There's a lot to be said about that winning streak. Once you get on it and you don't expect to be there, you ride all the way. It is a lot to say. What has been defining this WCS tournament is that the players' skill level are so close and so matched that we are seeing a lot of upsets that people didn't predict.
Right. And I really am not giving SOS enough credit either. I mean, I'm going on a rampage about Jaedong because I really, he is one of my favorites. But
Do you
SOS.
have his card? Does he have a card?
He does have a card. But
Is that in your wallet? Do you carry it with you?
I have to get it signed out now, actually. I do have it in my pocket. I have all of them in my pocket. But SOS, I got to give him some credit, too. He is also very, very good. And a lot of people are thinking he's going to win as well. They have the same odds. I just think Jaedong, with the way he performed against Deer, kind of is a really good sign.
Yeah.
So
there's momentum is on his side. And we're going to see this match live right here in just a couple of minutes as we lead up to sort of the grand finals here. $100,000 the winner's going to walk home with, right?
$100,000, one of the biggest tournament prize for first place ever. And yeah.
Jaedong's going to have a big party tonight, Kim.
If he wins. I mean, he's going up against SOS. I fully expect SOS to give him a run for his money, and he can even take it.
Wow.
I mean, SOS is that good.
Okay.
They're both good. Like,
yeah. It's just a matter of how the wind blows this afternoon. But I agree with you. I think Jaedong's on a streak. I think he's going to stay there. He just won this match behind us. We just saw him take the stage, and the fans congratulate him.
He does this dance. Like, when he wins, he just comes out and just goes, yeah. Clap, clap, clap.
We're going to do that at the end of the night tonight. Yeah.
During the Blink 182
That's right.
concert.
I can't think of a better way to go into the concert tonight than seeing the finals at the very end. So with the excitement has been growing behind us, now it's standing room only.
I know. There's a massive crowd here assembling for the finals. And the great news is we're going to bring those to you live and uninterrupted here as part of the virtual ticket. So we've got that. We've got Tom Chilton coming by after that to talk up what's happening with World of Warcraft and answer your questions on Twitter. So please keep sending those to us. And then, of course, finally tonight, the closing concert, Blink 182. Mark, Tom, and Travis live on stage here at BlizzCon. We will be bringing you that concert in beautiful high definition here on DirecTV and the virtual ticket online. But right now, we're going to head on over. They are getting ready to start the finals of the StarCraft 2 WCS. Enjoy it live right here as part of the virtual ticket on DirecTV's BlizzCon coverage.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the World Championship Series Global Finals. It's Grand Finals time. We'll be bringing you all the action from the final of StarCraft 2 with $100,000 going to the winner in a few moments' time. First, let's check in with our bracket from the round of 16 all the way to the grand final. You can see the road through this graphic that Jaedong has taken all the way to the final and that SOS has taken all the way to the final as well. Ladies and gentlemen, two fantastic players throughout the weekend and throughout the last 2 days going through that bracket brilliantly. So, head to head, it's Jaedong versus SOS. It's Zerg versus Protoss. Let's take a look at the matchup between the two players. As you can see, SOS ranked 12 in the world from the WCS rankings versus Zerg, 67%. Very nice, very good. And Lee Jaedong from Evil Geniuses in South Korea, ranked number 3 in the WCS rankings from 2013. And versus Protoss, a very useful 62% as well. Ladies and gentlemen, our grand final will start very shortly, but first, let's get the predictions from our panel of experts with DJ Wheat.
Thank you, Paul. Finally, it is time. We started with 3 seasons, 3 regions. We got down to 16 players. They battled it over the course of yesterday, and then today, the semifinals. Leading up to the finals, it's SOS taking on Jaedong for $100,000 in the title of WCS Global Champion. Gentlemen, I'm very excited to hear what you have to say about this. SOS, he defeated Hero, Polt, and Bomber on his way here. Jaedong, MVP, Deer, and Maru. Who wants to take it first?
Oh, dude, we got to throw down some facts right out the gate. By being in the finals, Jaedong is officially the most successful pro gamer in history across all games. The #1 spot is his, dethroning Fatality, who has been in that spot since the dawn of time. Yeah. Also, Both players in Season 1 and 2 went 0-4 in their Grand Finals appearance. SOS 0-4 to Innovation, Jaedong 0-4 to Bomber. So whoever wins Game 1, it's actually their first win in a Grand Final scenario. And most importantly, Jaedong has gotten 4 second-place finishes this year, is looking not to get to 5. He just wants to do 1 place better than Season 2.
Yeah. Jeff and Todd?
I mean, this final, the energy's electric. It's standing room only. There's people milling about. This is what I was born to do. I'm so excited. StarCraft has risen to this point where I don't know if I've ever been a part of a better production, of a better show. Personally speaking, obviously Jaedong's my boy. I walked into that first booth when he took second place at DreamHack, and he had tears streaming out of his eyes because he wanted it so bad. And it was at that moment that I saw him, and I knew that he was perhaps the most special player that I've ever encountered in my entire life. And to see that emotion generated here, to see him with yet another chance to reach up and grab that star, I'm going to cry like a frickin' baby if he does or if he doesn't. So let's just keep the camera off of me.
Todd in Rotterdam, I want to hear from you as well. Let's start with you, Todd.
I did not expect either of these players to make it to the finals. I know Rotti predicted SOS to win the whole thing, but looking at this match here, it's crazy that these two, they beat all the people that they beat, and now they're going to be playing each other. Also, Dana mentioned it, they both lost 0-4 before in the Grand Finals. For Jaedong, it actually happened twice. Once versus Bomber, once versus Bolt. So those who are Terrence, he's doing a lot better versus Protoss. This is a very interesting matchup, stylistically as well. And I'm just so excited. I cannot wait to get those games started and take a first look at what these players do.
Well, and I'm glad you brought up what Roddy said, you know, that he had chosen SOS from the get, because I'm sure he's not only feeling great that he made the prediction early on and is almost there, but you said Jaedong's playing out of his mind. And if he brings that same game, Rotterdam, are you still comfortable with your prediction?
Then I'm not sure, wait, because what I just saw Jaedong do in that last map on Frost, that's the best I've seen a Zerg play almost ever. It's the first time I've really seen Jaedong. Like, Jaedong has beaten so many good players already this year, and to make it to so many finals, obviously that was not coincidence or luck, but I always just felt like the wins were good, sometimes impressive, but never like absolutely amazing, unforgettable, and that's almost what I felt in the last game, despite being good early on. But I don't know, I'm super excited for these finals. I'm a big SOS fan. I used to be a really big fan of Rain, and I still am, but I felt back then Rain and SOS were the Protoss players. That's why you stayed up at night. That's why you wanted to watch the Pro League. And SOS has always had this crazy style. We always thought you need Colossus in this matchup. And Rain is like, no, I'm just going to do everything else than Colossus. Even when I can and have 2 robos, I will refuse to make Colossus. And double observer production. Yes.
All right, guys. Well, yeah, sorry to interrupt, Sean, but the players are ready. Let's throw it to the main stage and introduce our 2 finalists.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Blizzcon 2013 for the World Championship Series Global Finals Grand Final. Please make some noise for the finalists, SOS and Jaedong! And as the players get settled, it's time to go over to our commentary team. We've got something very, very special for you indeed. Gents, the stage is all yours.
What's up, guys? I'm Tasteless with me is Artosis and Apollo. We're going to be doing a 3-way cast here for the very first time ever here at the WCS Global Finals here at Blizzcon 2013.
This is going to be a lot of fun. These are the 2 nerds that I like to cast with. And this is the type of storyline that I want to see in any tournament.
This is going to be one final to remember. This is the biggest StarCraft 2 tournament of all time, and we will have a champion very, very soon.
So going into this, what do you guys think? Who's going to win this? I'm going with Jaedong. I don't think this guy can be stopped. He just looks too good.
There's no way that he's going to be stopped at this point. Okay, we've said that how many times now, Paul? How many second places does Jaedong have?
We have casted him so much this year. Jaedong has been waiting, he's been patient. This is meant to be the one.
But you know, if SOS manages to take him out, I mean, what does that say about him? This guy is a powerhouse. He's fairly new in comparison to somebody like J-Dog. I mean, J-Dog is legendary. If that were to happen, that would change everything. You know, we saw Parting dominate last year. What if SOS can do it again here?
You know, maybe he can. He's so strong. He's been playing so well. But if you look at the players that J-Dong has gone through to get here, and you look at just how badly he needs his first tournament win, I see no other result than J-Dong taking this.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a really incredible thing. We've gone through an entire year now, watching these players develop, watching them grow, seeing the upsets. And now, within an hour or a few hours, we're going to crown a champion. I mean, WCS is changing the way StarCraft esports is in an incredible way.
This has been, I'd like to say in StarCraft 2, the best year we've ever had. This has been an amazing year. The story from the beginning season where we saw SOS play so well, and then through Season 2 and Season 3 where J-Dong got better and stronger each season. This is just the ultimate finale to the best year we've had.
It truly is. And let's take a look at this guy, SOS. As you said, Apollo, he was doing so fantastically at the beginning of the WCS season, at the beginning of this year, but he kind of fell off a little bit.
Yeah, he really did. You know, his play style is very particular. He's a really sneaky player. He does not strike me, although we don't, you know, when we look at someone like J-Dong, there's so much information to pull, you know, because there's so much history there, but SOS has never struck me as somebody who's really nervous, really phased. He's just focused on winning.
Yeah, I mean, he's really, I think one of the biggest things to look at SOS is, yes, he's one of the most creative Protoss players we've seen in Heart of the Swarm. He innovated a lot of the play styles, but he never had something so solid to back it up, something so solid to push him towards a massive tournament victory. But at this tournament, like J-Dong, he's played excellently. He's backed everything that he thinks. He's so smart, he's intelligent, and it's all backed up fundamentally excellently. And that's why he's in the final.
Well, let's take a look. He beat 2 Terrans to get here and a Protoss in this tournament here today. Do you think his PvZ style, that style that we've seen before from him, with a lot of Void Rays, a lot of Sky Toss, Charge Zealots, DTs, High Templars, is that going to be something that can take out J-Dong, who has been beating down the very best Protosses in the world?
That's the scariest part about SOS being in this final. Who was the player that made that Void Ray style? Who was the player that went Zealot Charge? Who was the player that went Storm faster to improve his own style? Now imagine that player that made those styles backed up with amazing mechanics just like J-Dong has. This is not going to be just as easy as people think it will for J-Dong.
You know, it's funny. Let's go back to the start of StarCraft 2. Remember that not all the Korean professional gamers switched over. Okay,
that's right.
J-Dong was one of those players who was still playing Brood War when StarCraft 2 was out. And people were saying, well, what's going to happen when eventually StarCraft 1 entirely fizzles out? And these guys are going to switch over to StarCraft 2. And a lot of people were saying, well, we'll see people like, for instance, MVP dominate. Of course he's going to be good. He's had more time to practice, and he made the right choice to switch over to this game. In this period of time, from the end of the full end of StarCraft 1, and these players switching over, J-Dong has risen to the top so quickly. It is absolutely incredible.
And shouldn't he have? The greatest Zerg player of all time. We've known this forever. No one was even close to him in Brood War. And it looks like he's on that same path again in StarCraft 2.
I think that we can look at when players like J-Dong, or let's just take J-Dong. J-Dong, when he moved into StarCraft 2, he played, some may say, an arguably harder game when it came to Brood War. He was playing faster than anybody else. He was stronger than anybody else. Do you not believe, though, that he's hit new heights and new levels for Zerg players and overall players in StarCraft 2?
He has. Look at his play. He's using more Mutalisks than most other Zergs. He's innovating in a lot of ways. His mechanics are just fantastic. In my opinion, Apollo, he is the best reactive Zerg.
I completely agree.
You know, it's funny because we saw in that last series there, J-Dong really is somebody who takes control of the game. You have to play by his set of rules. I'm wondering myself, what exactly is SOS going to have to do beyond just completely bulletproof defense? What is he going to have to do to get to the point in the game where he's going to be able to have an advantage? Because J-Dong is just, he's just so, the weight of him in there is incredible.
You know, I think Apollo said it well before. SOS is an innovator. He is someone who comes up with new stuff. And I think we need to see something new from him here. And he hasn't played PvZ yet, so maybe he has something completely new that we haven't seen before.
Jaedong is so mechanically strong. If it's equal, if it's a heads-up fight, if it's just a street fight, I think Jaedong wins. SOS has to bring something special, unique, that can outsmart Jaedong here.
Yeah, you know, I'm always wondering, should maybe we see a timing here from SOS, or should we see hidden tech? I mean, Jaedong's been so good at scouting, so good at harassing. It's almost funny, though, because the way that he's won some of these games are not what you would expect to see at this level of WCS, you know? I mean, games where he's just been flat out figured out his opponent's build right away, got an edge, cornered, for instance, Reapers, like we saw in the last game, with Lings to just get a lead. It's almost like his intimidation factor is one of the things that's helping drive him up to where he's gotten now.
It's really scary to play against a Zerg that can play like that, Tasteless, that can be so decisive and make these moves. For instance, you know, I was out back watching that last match. Double factory Blue Flame Hellions, 0 drone kills.
Yeah,
when is the last time we saw something like that?
And not only does he get 0 drone kills, he's already back to mining as the Hellions. They haven't even left creep yet.
Yes.
And he's sending his drones back to mining. It's so slick what he pulls off.
You know, I look back at that last game where he just had control of the map the entire time. Maru could not get out of his base. And this went on for, I think, like 25 minutes of just absolutely crushing him. If you looked at the mini-map, there were little Jaedong-colored dots all around. And it's going to be tricky here for SOS because Zerg can do the same thing to Protoss. It's going to be tough.
It certainly is. I cannot wait to start this match, you guys. Does anyone up here think SOS is going to do it?
Well, you know, we didn't see a lot of Jaedong playing against Zergs here today, or Protoss is here today. So you got to keep that in mind. He was really crushing through a lot of Terrans. So maybe SOS has something well prepared for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if SOS can break the killer mentality that Jaedong has, because right now he's got so much momentum that's pushing him forward. I really think that if he can do that, then yeah, I think he could.
You know what? We've seen, what, 5 second places and 2 round of 4s from Jaedong this year, I believe. Can he actually win a tournament? Because he's had momentum in all of those as well, and it absolutely did not work out.
Yeah, I mean, 4 finals, the 5th final now. Surely this has to be a victory. How long can he keep being second?
Well, he hopes it's done, that's for sure. Yeah. I mean, people can't even talk about yellow anymore if Jaedong doesn't win tonight.
Well, it's so wild to see when you get to StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2. This is the longest esport that's still been around, right?
Yeah.
Jaedong is the guy that is continuing to carry the torch forward as somebody who's the best. Most of the time, well, when you get pro gamers in really any game, usually they're at their top for, I would say, about 2 to 3 years, the best of the best. You know, I mean, Jaedong's somebody who's, we're going into like a decade of ownage here. I mean, think about that.
He is called the Tyrant, so that makes sense.
Looks like it's time. Let's make some noise with our 2 players here in the finals of the WCS. Over here in the upper left, give it up for SOS. All right, it looks like we have had a pause. We did see Jaedong type in PP, which is the cue for a pause inside the game. We don't know what the issue is, but whatever it is, it's clearly important. These are, okay, looks like, okay, he didn't have sound on. Let's try this one more time. Over here in the upper left, the Protoss Hope, give it up for SOS. His opponent down here in the bottom right, the legend from Brood War. Give it up for Jaedong.
It's a lot of support for Jaedong there, Tasteless.
Always a fan favorite. really tries to interact with everyone. And oh, do we have a cannon rush starting this off?
Looks like it's going to be that. He's sending the probe out here now. Now, Jaedong's gone for early pull before, but it looks like in this case he's going to go for a quick hatch.
Uh-oh, this could really backfire, but he sees the probe coming, so at least he can watch for something like this. A second probe coming around.
Oh, is this going to work here? Well, Jaedong, look at it. He saw the probe. He's decided to switch up. He's gone for the pull.
Oh, well, that's actually really nice. The fact that he saw that probe, because the second probe coming out, this is going to make it really hard.
Wait a minute. He's still going to go for it? This is interesting.
I think this is something we saw from Liquid Hero within a couple of tournaments, actually. He's going to cannon rush from below that hatchery.
Well, you know, one thing about SOS is he has such brilliant builds. He's bringing this one here into the most important match of his entire career.
He certainly is doing that. And you know what? The one thing, maybe he can get a cancel here because of that low ground cannon protecting him. And if he can do that, he's also got cannons hitting the third base.
If this works, it's going to be huge, because this is Jaedong we're talking about. And I don't think Jaedong's going to scout for this. This is so abstract as a cannon rush. Oh my God, he spots it!
But I think it's too late. The cannon is going to finish on the low ground. He can't stop this cannon on the high ground here.
Yeah, he should be able to force a cancel here.
And if he forces a cancel, Zerg's going to be in such a deficit. SOS already has cannons at the front of his base.
Well, what does Jaedong do from here? Is he going to cancel Apollo?
I'm not too sure. I think he has to, actually. He's already got this other hatchery coming down the left-hand side. This is going to be impossible to defend.
And, you know, think about this. With the cannon, the one on the low ground, he can't expand to that other base if this gets canceled. He'll be stuck on two bases, and he does force a cancel.
Does make that cannon finish at least. And, well, the gateway just starting now about a minute later than normal due to the cannon rush.
So how successful do you think this has been, Artosis? This is a dedicated attack from resources that could have been for a faster expansion. Was this worth it for SOS?
I think if you look at it in the broad spectrum of things, where it's some games he's going to pick up a free win here, it's worth it, but in this game in particular, wasn't good enough.
Really interesting play. And with the way that Jaedong probably was going into this game, his mindset, the tables have really been turned. Jaedong was somebody who was taking control of each game against his opponent, setting the rules. Now, it's completely different. Jaedong has to, on his feet, with the world watching, engineer a strategy that's going to come back and turn the situation around.
Well, I think that's really what Jaedong is best at. This guy's so reactive, he's so clever, he's played a lot longer than SOS, he's so experienced. I think he's going to be fine here.
Yeah, and Jaedong's decided to take double gases here, so what is this actually for? I mean, he's going to tech up quite fast. Is this just for Zergling speed? Does he try to do something else here? I'm not too sure.
It's pretty hard to say, actually. I'm trying to figure out, with two gases this quickly, like, you could go for a fast layer. You know, what would you want to get with that, though?
It's funny because if he doesn't get a third base up here and Protoss is on two bases, I mean, this is StarCraft 101. You have to stay in a lead when it comes to expansions as Zerg. So maybe Jaedong's going to try to do something to end this very quickly.
Well, he is going up to a very fast layer. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to end up seeing here, Apollo. What do you think?
Well, the options from this point, well, as he starts to clear out these cannons, he could go for a Nidus Swim, but what exactly is he going to put in there? He doesn't have Zergling speed research. Does he want to throw down a Roach Warren soon? Mulists are out the question. Could it be, if he takes the gases on his other base, could it be a Hydra Nidus play or something? He's so limited on gas at this point.
Yeah, you know, he hasn't taken the gases at his new natural right here. So it can't be Mutas, as you said. It probably won't end up being any sort of infestation pit. I'm not sure.
I feel like it's going to be a Nidus Worm. I'm not sure if that's the best move, but then again, what is the best move in this very bizarre setup that SOS has started this game out on?
Well, we have to look. The SOS did do research +1 attack straight away. He's added on 3 extra gateways, so no matter what Jaedong does, SOS seems to have a plan here. He's chronobushing into that cybernetics core.
Okay, so SOS is going to have plenty of units. Probably isn't going to die. Ooh, a Hydralisk Den. So he's actually going fast Hydras. Maybe Jaedong thinks here that we were going to see a Stargate rather quickly after the cannon rush, which is pretty common.
That's very true. The Stargate is super common after a successful cannon rush because you can control the map very, very easily, especially with the queens being slow off of creep. Instead, from what I'm gleaning here is that Jaedong is doing a kind of abstract way to just get back into a normal game. He's actually okay playing from a completely uncomfortable position, as long as he can get back to that macro Zerg style that he's so good at.
As we see here, we have 4 probes that just got rallied to exactly the wrong place. That is actually a gigantic hiccup in SOS's economy.
Well, now the cannon's going to get picked off here, but we have a pylon aggressively. Remember, +1 attack has finished, and units are moving across the map. Are these Hydralisks and Zerglings that are going to be needed? That's going to be enough. That's a lot of force fields.
I'm almost under the impression SOS expected Jaedong to do some kind of all-in after this and is now caught off guard. He is going to move down here into this attack. Let's see if Jaedong can hold this off.
He could force field this ramp and lock all the units out. They'll have to run around. If he does do that, he sees the Hydras, though, and does back up for now.
And we have a pylon coming over here at the 3rd. SOS being very cautious. We've seen some players be a little bit too aggressive. He peeks in there and he says, can I 100% win this? No, I'm going to have to back up.
That was so interesting because I really thought, as you described, Autosis, he could have done so much there. Force fields on the ramp, he had the mothership core, he could easily recall if something went wrong there, and I think that may have been a missed opportunity for SOS.
I feel like minimum he was going to kill a lot of drones, but instead he has decided to run away. At least that does leave him with a lot of force fields for defense, and he did force a good amount of units out of a very low economy Jaedong.
Here we have that infestation pit coming down, and it looks like the drone going to the 4th base now. Is going to arrive, and Jaedong has transitioned into frankly a pretty healthy Zerg macro game right now.
He certainly has. He's got a pretty decent drone count. He's still teching up. That's a pretty quick infestation pit as well, and going on to a 4th base, you can't really ask for more after this weird and wonky start.
Yeah, I can't help but feel that with SOS's attack and investment into that gateways and the +1 attack, and without doing anything, it's almost equalized the game a little bit. I mean, Jaedong wasn't too far behind from the initial cannon rush, but from this point, the Hive is on its way. If he's able to combine Vipers with the Hydralisk that he has out or something along those lines, especially because we see Colossus on the way, this could be a dangerous attack.
You know, on this map especially, one thing that it's pretty popular is going just for Swarm Host play and turtling up, which he could do. He does have, you know, an economic engine that's strong enough that he can set that up. We'll have to see.
You know, that is true, but this is also Jaedong. We have to remember that. There's always the possibility of Mutalisks. He could go for that, but with the Roaches and Hydras being made, I think it's going to be mainly Corruptors to help take out those Colossus.
Yeah, once those Colossus go down, this Protoss army that we see is just going to melt to the amount of Hydralisks and Roaches we're going to see.
All right, so we see a scouting hallucinated Phoenix coming in here. A Protoss is going to poke in and try to just wipe out the creep tumors, anything to get a little bit more map control. He sees the tacking, and it looks like from here he's going to just go ahead and get a 2nd Stargate. Oh, excuse me, he cancels it as I say that.
Okay, I think he was thinking it might be Mutalisks here, so he was getting ready for it, and after scouting this many Hydras and Roaches, obviously it's not going to be.
That makes a lot of sense because we've seen so much Mutalisk play from Jaedong throughout the last 2 days. He probably was trying to get ahead and stop that before it started, but no need, canceled it. Nice play there.
Well, Jaedong is racing up in supply now, guys. He's already up to 170. He really is racing, and with 3 Vipers on the way, a couple of ducks to the Colossus that are out here, Jaedong's army is going to be so strong.
Right now, SOS cannot attack. In fact, right now, SOS has to sit back and defend. As soon as they're charged up, it's going to be a deadly attack, but the Templar Archives is on the way.
That Jaedong is maxed out, by the way, as you can see here in first person, just now hitting 200. So he can now just start pulling larvae, and it's going to be very difficult for SOS to deal with. SOS at almost half of what Jaedong has.
We even see an Ultralisk Cavern coming down, a really great transition, especially if your opponent is staying on gateway units. So here we go. Jaedong is moving out.
This could be pretty crazy here, Tasteless, if these Ducks grab those Colossus.
All right, looks like he's going to be moving in now. Will he actually attack, or is he just testing the defenses around here? He could harpoon here with some of these Vipers.
Well, he does have 3 High Templars here, and it looks like, oh, he does pick off that Forge, and here comes the first yank. Oh, the Colossus Slave's got a second yank. The
Colossus goes down. Beautiful, taking that Colossus out and then maneuvering around the map. But we do have a War Prism coming in over here. It could hit the third base, and it could hit it hard.
A beautiful counterattack coming in from SOS, though. All the army, every part of Jaedong's supplies on the other side of the map. That War Prism with the Zealots there could do so much damage to Jaedong's infrastructure.
It very well may. There's only a single Roach and a Queen here to help out. If you can warp in some more units, that's going to be great. But this attack is still going on at his front door.
Looks like he's going to move in again here. The Colossi backing up. Will they get
the big back? Oh! Well, he doesn't end up getting that Colossi. It does get microwaved very quickly by SOS. In the meantime, the Zealots still trying to do damage, but don't get much done.
Oh, great pick there by Jaedong. Grabs one of those Colossus. But most importantly, SOS is holding strong.
Now think about this. The Colossus increment out one by one from the robotics facility. If he keeps losing those, he's never going to be able to push out on the map. Meanwhile, Zealots now hitting the hatch. Transfusions coming down. Jaedong rapidly coming back to try to save this.
Oh, is he going to get it? Is he going to get the hatchery? Oh, transfuse!
Oh my God!
I cannot believe my eyes, even using an abduct on a single red Zealot. Jaedong going to every measure to save this hatchery.
Unbelievable play there. Jaedong not missing a beat, still maxed out. His army pushing out towards the front of the Protoss' base. He's going to keep controlling this. It is looking to be probably a Jaedong win if SOS can't turn something else around here.
You know what? That is a possibility. He even has that Ultralisk Cavern ready. He's taking that 5th base. This is looking rather good for Jaedong, but SOS is taking his 4th.
Is he going to get the hatchery?
Oh, no, not this time, Tasteless. The transfuses keep on, and the Warp Prism has to run away. But I think a really important part of this game right now is the Ultralisk. The upgrades are starting to come in. He's making his Ultralisk stronger. Jaedong currently doesn't care about Roach, Hydra, Viper as much anymore. But look at this. There's no Immortals. There's no Archons.
It's wild, man. Look at how much Jaedong is banked up, by the way. Almost 4K in minerals and over 1,000 in Vespian gas. So he has a lot of options here. Let's say his army gets wiped out. He can come up with a completely different tech.
Two Colossus being picked off, and it looks like he may even get a cancel on this 4th base. Jaedong playing a flawless game.
This is some of the best Viper play I have ever seen.
Yeah, and I can't believe that Jaedong keeps pulling this off. He's moving around. His opponent can't even get over 150 supply.
Oh man, look at this. The Zealots in the main base. At the same time, the Roach is hitting over here, but he doesn't even care about these Roaches. Psystorms comes down. Looks like he'll save the Nexus for now, but still more damage being done in Jaedong's main.
Yeah, the Nexus was bruised there, but just not enough. The Zealot harass has not been impactful here to get SOS elite. SOS having a hard time even getting outside of his base. Well, we have another Zealot harass coming in here. He's going to go for the hatch. He's not going for the drones. This means he has to take a big step if he wants to get ahead.
Well, right now we have a big bang for Jaedong. The Spire's finishing. Is he going to do the Mutalisk switch?
The hatchery's getting lower, 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 and it does look like Jaedong once again manages to save this.
There's so much money being thrown into picking off hatcheries, the Warp Prism, the Zealots, and neither of them are successful. What is Jaedong waiting for now? It's going to be Ultralisk first of all here.
All right. 5 Ultralisks on the way. Also, a lot of spine crawlers being made. He realizes that this harassment is doing very well. Oh my gosh, getting a hatchery! Finally, SOS picks off a hatchery.
It's incredible. I mean, look at the APM here. That's actions per minute. It is so high right now. I believe that's SOS on the left there. It's incredible. These guys are playing so fast.
Right now, Jaedong pushing up again. He wants to get rid of the 4th base. Will he be able to do it? This is a little suicide force here, so even though it looks like he'll cancel that 4th, he should end up losing the army.
But Autosis, I really don't think Jaedong cares about his Roach Hydra anymore. But the big question I want to ask you and ask every other player out there, is SOS ready for Ultralisks?
He is absolutely not ready for Ultralisks. Stalkers, Sentries, and Colossus are all countered by them. And in fact, look at this. He's seen the double Spire, and he's going for Phoenixes. He's afraid of the Mutalisk switch.
And he's pooling the Phoenixes here too, so the Zerg might not identify that in time. And that might be a big surprise here for Jaedong.
Well, Jaedong is still making Ultras, and that's just another unit. You know, Phoenixes are even worse against Ultras than Sentries are.
So right now, SOS is attempting to take a 4th base. He can't stay on 3 bases forever, and I think what we're going to see, Jaedong's going to go for one big final attack. As soon as SOS moves down to take his 4th, his army will be the open, and that's when Jaedong's going to come for map number 1.
And it looks like that 4th is all just about to be completed here. He might wait for that to finish so even more damage is done, but you're absolutely right. He's going to gear up for one big killing blow.
Well, he's ready. He's just waiting, kind of in a concave here. It's hard to break through a wall with Ultras. In fact, now he's showing them off. SOS has to be feeling pretty sad that he's bought so many Phoenixes right now.
Jaedong's on 5 bases. You can't stay on 3. He has to come out, but it gets cancelled. How the hell is SOS going to be able to afford anything if this game continues on?
This game is going to start snowballing here. In fact, it already has, really. Jaedong is getting bigger and bigger and scarier. He has so much banked up right now, and now going for the Nexus here. Will this snipe work off? He'll take out the Nexus and even free up supply to tech to something else.
Well, it looks like he does want to switch tech now by throwing away those Ultras. He could go into Mutas, but let's not forget, SOS is ready for that. There's a lot of mind games going on right now.
But how much money does he really have? Because yes, he'll have a little of everything, but not a lot of it. And that's the big problem, because look at how much money Jaedong has saved up. At any point in this game, Jaedong could win with his trademark move.
Well, you know what? There's a lot of Immortals on the way. We're actually starting to get to a composition that SOS may be able to win battles with. And if he's very quick with that, Jaedong's going to have a hard time. But again, as Tasteless, you were saying, the 5 bases of Jaedong allow him to do whatever he wants.
Oh, look at this brave soldier.